The tragic and Australia-changing Bondi terrorist attack, the worst on Australian soil in our history, is going to have an impact maybe no one saw coming. December 14 will change the face of Australian politics, in my view, and it will make or break two central figures. First, Opposition Leader Sussan Ley. Today, in one of the strongest leadership performances I've seen from any politician in a long time, stamped her authority as coalition leader and got to the heart of what the laws should be being considered in a recalled parliament next week: Islamic extremism. Now, as Ley in her 15-minute media conference said over and over, Islamic extremism in all its forms is what needs to be attacked. But in the 500-odd pages of this hate speech bill and gun law bill, the two words radical Islam do not appear once. Now, as she said, if you can't even speak the words, how do you solve the problem?
The legislation does not address the real issues that gave rise to the Bondi attack. It doesn't address Islamic extremism. It doesn't address ISIS influence. And it doesn't address the rise of anti-Semitism and the associated terrorist threat in Australia.
Ley labelled the bill as being a clumsy attempt to address hate speech and gun laws, and in her view, protects hate preachers and is unsalvageable. That's her words. Clearly no amendments are going to save it. With some Greens-friendly changes, although they today are now complaining, but they will probably get those amendments and change it through the Senate, this clumsy bill that many believe will be used as a weapon against free speech will actually pass next week. It will become law. Ley saved some of her strongest words and gave a glimpse of the sort of leadership we can expect from her at last.
We've been very clear. Under our package, our message to those who preach hatred, who preach radical Islamic extremist hatred, glorify terrorism or incite violence, it's very clear. If you're not an Australian citizen, you will be deported. And if you are an Australian citizen, you will be arrested.
Deported and jailed. Look, they're views, comments and words that average Australians, I think, of all faiths can recognise. Ley also made it clear on how she feels about the way that Anthony Albanese has handled his job since December 14.
We had the worst ever terror attack on Australian soil. The Parliament should have been reconvened then, before Christmas, to actually demonstrate leadership, compassion and the determination that I have spoken of every day since to tackle radical Islamic extremism and eradicate anti-Semitism. The New South Wales Parliament came back before Christmas, but our Parliament still has not returned. Instead, we have had a Prime Minister who froze for 25 days, unable to find a political fix for what he saw as a political problem, when the nation demanded leadership and moral courage and moral clarity.
And Anthony Albanese is the second figure whose political career will be defined by what happened on the beach in Bondi. Prime Minister Albanese, we went from a lonely figure clutching a bunch of flowers at the Bondi shooting site, getting there before the crowds, so he was there on his own, to the searing images and audio that you can't unsee and unhear of a crowd of mourners and families at a memorial service heckling our Prime Minister when his name was mentioned, to his non-appearances and weak excuses why he didn't attend any funerals of the dead, not the rabbis, not even a 10-year-old girl. And Sussan Ley is right. He did freeze. He fluffed around for a month, refusing to call a royal commission despite calls from the relatives of the dead, business people, sporting leaders and even former Labor MPs. Eventually, he caved. But his character, lack of leadership, his dithering, his obfuscation has mortally wounded Anthony Albanese, in my view, and will not be quickly forgotten by a lot of Australians. He might survive because of his crushing election victory, but Anthony Albanese is a greatly diminished figure and his prime ministership has been permanently scarred. Now, Sussan Ley might never make it to the Lodge, but on her performance today alone, she deserves to.